The secret weapon of packing revealed, what makes a great carry on, and the do's and don'ts of traveling with duty free products. Welcome to episode 2, adventurers. Hello, and welcome to the Outdoorsy Diva podcast. I'm your host, Lauren, the Outdoorsy Diva. Thanks for joining. Hey y'all, thanks so much for joining me on this second episode of the Outdoorsy Diva podcast. So let's jump right into it. Let's talk about the secret weapon of packing. So I just returned fresh from the beautiful island of Jamaica, and I am happy to announce that for the very first time ever, I was able to be Team Carry-On on an international trip. And that for me is huge. It's something that I've never been able to accomplish before. I've always been that person that wants to have a change of outfits. I'm unsure of what I need and I second guess my packing. So, of course, I end up breaking out the big boy suitcase and I can't be Team Carry On when I have to check a bag. Super annoying, right? And it also costs money because these days there are only a few airlines like Southwest that still allow you to check any of your bags for free. So, the optimal thing to do is try to be part of Team Carry On like me, where you don't have to check your luggage. It's easy to get on the plane, easy to get off and exit the airport and start your adventure right away. So, what is the secret weapon to being part of Team Carry On? I'm so glad you asked. Packing cubes. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, packing cubes. I first learned about packing cubes from another really great travel blogger by the name of Ronnie, the travel guru. She put me on game to the magic and the joy and the bliss that is packing cubes. I can't believe I hadn't heard of them until just about a year ago, but I did, and I'm so glad that I listened to her advice. Now, some people may recommend a specific brand. I have found that they're pretty much the same. You want to make sure that the packing cubes that you select are squishy, they're pliable, they'll be able to smush nicely neat into your suitcase, and that they have some type of a mesh opening so that their clothes and your items inside can breathe. The package that I purchased last Black Friday actually came with 5 packing cubes and a dirty laundry bag. So it was a steal on Black Friday because normally it would have cost about $30 and I got it for the low price of $9.99 thanks to one of those great Amazon Prime deals on Black Friday. And I have to say, I've been so pleased with the product. I actually bought 2 sets and they are 2 different brands. And I really have no difference. I use them both interchangeably. And so, what it will allow you to do is you'll have this small cube and it zips up. And you can roll your clothes or fold your clothes up nice and tight and compact into the packing cube. And it lets you organize it so you can put similar things together or you can pack your cubes by day, whatever organizational method you think works best for you. I kind of don't pack by day because I'm just not sure what I'm going to need, but more item types. So bathing suits, underwear, bras, I'll put in the same packing cube. Tops, lightweight items, shorts, I put in one packing cube. And then dresses and shorts, I roll up into the larger packing cube. So that way you'll end up with these nice, neat compartments that you can put in your carry-on. And of course, you want to make sure your carry-on suitcase is one with the double-sided so that you can put packing cubes on either side of it. Otherwise, it'll defeat the purpose. So for this past trip to Jamaica, I had 3 packing cubes. I used 2 large ones. I used one medium-sized one, and then it also comes with a small bonus toiletry size one, but I didn't really count that as being like one of the kits. So using those four different packing cubes, the three regular size ones plus the toiletry one, I was able to get everything that I needed for my 4-day, 3-night trip to Montego Bay, Jamaica. I was so proud of myself because it's just not something that I had been able to do until now. But this time I was team carry on. My suitcase fit nice and neat in my overhead compartment. And when I landed in Jamaica, once I cleared customs, I was out. I didn't have to wait for my luggage. I didn't have to wait at a carousel. I could go ahead and get the party started right away. So, what do you think? Are you convinced? I hope I have convinced you because it is certainly an investment that is worth making. It will save you time and it will save you money if you can master becoming part of Team Carry On. So trust me on that. And if you're interested, you can head over to outdoorsydiva.com. I've got a couple of ad banners in the side with some links to some of my favorite brands of packing cubes that you can purchase. So, a little about my trip to Jamaica. I'm going to cover this in more detail on a separate episode, but just to give you a quick recap, it was balls amazing. It was my first time to the island, and we were in Montego Bay primarily. I did spend one night in White House, Jamaica, on the south side of the island. This was my very first international media trip, and it was sponsored by Sandals Resort. I'm sure you've heard of the brand Sandals and Beaches Resorts, one of the most famous, recognized brands of all inclusive resorts in the Caribbean. And it was magical. It was absolutely a magical experience. The property and the renovations they have made just blew me away. So stay tuned because I just can't wait to dive into more detail about this trip. On my upcoming episodes, and I'll tell you all about what it was like to be inside the overwater bungalows. That's right, the famous overwater bungalows in the shape of a heart that you've seen built out on top of this amazing, breathtaking, crystal clear turquoise water. Yes, I was able to explore these overwater bungalows and villas at two of their properties in the Caribbean. So I'll be back to tell you all about it in future episodes. So, we've talked about my secret weapon of packing, and now it's time to dive into what makes a great carry on. And when I say a great carry on, I'm talking about both a carry on suitcase as well as a carry on personal item. So we'll start with the carry on suitcase. You want something that's going to be lightweight because in the event that you do end up needing to check it, you don't want it to be something that's going to take up the bulk of your allowed weight limit. You also want to make sure that it's not going to be something that's so heavy and cumbersome that in the event that you're stuck in the airport or you have a long way to go where you have to lug that thing around, or God forbid, your wheel broke and you couldn't roll it, that it's just going to be something that's not overly heavy and overly bulky on its own, without even having anything in it. You definitely want to get the type that is double-sided. So it's equally deep on either side when I say double-sided. Gone are the days of your grandma's suitcase where you just open it and there's only depth on one side and someone has to sit on it to try and get it to zip close. No. Step into modern times and get you a carry-on that is double-sided. It has the same amount of depth on either side. Then you also want something with compartments, zippers, shoe holders, little special nooks and crannies where you can put things will make your packing life a lot simpler. You also want something that's expandable, so it will have an expandable zipper in the event that you need to have it stretch a little bit wider to give you a little more space once you get ready to zip it up. You definitely want wheels, and preferably the 360 wheels, so that you can just roll the bag as you walk and you don't necessarily have to pull it behind you, because I found that pulling it can be a little more strain on your wrist, your hands, and your forearm muscles. So being able to roll the bag upright is definitely a winner. That's what you want. That's a deal breaker characteristic for me personally when I'm luggage shopping. If it does not have the spinner wheels, I don't want it. And you shouldn't either. Leave it at the store. You want something with a hard shell cover. This day and age, I'm sure we've all gotten a bag back from our favorite airline, and it was just completely demolished and ripped to shreds because it was cloth, or it got wet, or somehow it miraculously got torn to bits. So having a hard shell cover will ensure that you have a better chance of not having what you have inside damaged or getting wet if you have, a cloth type of cover. And my next tip would be for you to make sure it has an extendable handle, not just one with a little short extension, but you want a pretty decent extension. It will just make your life easier as you're trying to maneuver through the airport. And you also want one where the wheel will come up enough for you to fit your personal item and loop it kind of on top, so that you're really just rolling this one piece of luggage with you as you navigate through the airport. And then a bonus tip for what makes the perfect carry on suitcase would be something with a really unique pattern or a really funky, bright color. They sell luggage these days with all kinds of looks to them, and it will just make it easier for you to identify what's yours at a glance, and you know that it's your bag. So, looking for that unique pattern or unique color for your luggage is not required, but it's definitely a really nice to have feature. Now, as for a carry on actual personal item or bag, you want something with a durable strap, whether it's going to be over your shoulder or it's a backpack. You want something where the straps aren't going to dig into your shoulder and into your neck, because that's just uber unpleasant. And you just never know how long you'll need to walk somewhere, how long you'll be in a certain situation, and you don't want to be standing there in pain because your bag was crap, basically. So you definitely want something with a durable strap, preferably some type of cushion to the strap. You want something that has at least a zipper of some kind on the outside of the bag, or for easy access for things such as your cell phone and your passport. That way you can easily grab your passport. You might want to stick a pin in there as well, because you have to fill out documentation when you come through customs. So having something with that little outside pocket just makes your life so much easier, because you don't have to go digging through your bag to get the important things that you're going to need when you're traveling. You want to make sure it's a decent size, but you want it to be able to fit under the footrest. I mean, not the footrest, I'm sorry, underneath the seat of the seat in front of you on the airplane, because usually the bag you're using as your personal item will have your headphones, your cell phone, your iPod, your tablet, your snacks, probably a scarf and a blanket, all those things that you want to be able to access within your flight. So the last thing you want is to have to put your carry-on personal item up in the overhead compartment if it can be at all avoided. So we've covered the secret weapon to becoming a member of Team Carry-On, and I've given you some of my favorite tips for selecting the perfect carry-on luggage as well as carry-on personal item. So now it's time to talk about what to do if you're traveling with duty-free items. So, traveling to the Caribbean, I think every single time I've made a trip to anywhere in the Caribbean, I have come back with duty free items. Usually it's rum of some kind. Don't judge me. I love rum. I have that in common with Jack Sparrow. But it's typical for a lot of people to want to take advantage of being able to get those duty free items and get those elusive alcohols like the infamous Hennessy White and things that you have a hard time getting a hold of here stateside. So, there's a couple of things that you need to keep in mind if you're going to make a duty free purchase, especially a duty free purchase that is a food item or an alcohol item or something that you don't want to check in your bag. So, keep in mind that once you go through duty free, they're going to pack it and they're going to ask you, if you have a direct flight or do you have a connecting flight. So when I came through the Montego Bay Airport, I purchased rum. And she asked me, was I going on a direct flight or did I have a connecting flight? So here's the really important difference and why this matters. If you know that you want to bring back a significant amount of duty-free items that you would not want to put in your checked bag, then I would advise you in your travel plans to make sure that you have a direct flight from your international destination back home. Because the difference is if you have a connecting flight, as I did, once you get to your connection, that's where you're going to clear customs. So, for example, I flew from Montego Bay into the Baltimore airport. Once I got to Baltimore to get back into the United States and clear customs, I went right through. My bag was with me, my suitcase on the plane, so I didn't have to wait for a bag. However, the only people who can check a bag at that point are people who already had a checked bag and you already have the tags on it. However, you have to go back through security to get to your connecting flight. And therein lies the problem that gets a lot of people in trouble because they're simply not prepared for it. You can't bring more than 3 ounces of a liquid onto an airplane. Therefore, my giant bottle of rum was not going to get cleared through security. So, my only option at that point was to, once I cleared customs, get my rum out of my shoulder bag and pack it at this point into my luggage and then go to the counter and now check that bag that was originally my carry-on suitcase. I now had to check it so that I could bring in my duty-free alcohol, because otherwise, if I had flown on a direct flight, I wouldn't have had that problem. They simply would have, because when you purchase your duty free, you've already cleared security and it's before you're about to get on your plane. So there's no problem there. You're able to go home, go right through customs with your alcohol in your bag or your carry-on or whatever you brought it in, and enter the country, bada bing, bada boom, no problem. But if you have a connecting flight, you will have to check your duty-free alcohol, or even if it's something that you don't want on the plane with you, like maybe it's something you're afraid to get melted or something like that, you just want to make sure that you plan accordingly if you know you're the type of traveler who wants to get you some good duty-free alcohol to bring it back. because I saw quite a few people get their feelings hurt once they got to security in Baltimore and they had their duty-free alcohol in their carry-on bag, and TSA would not allow them to bring it back through that security checkpoint. So at that point, you've either got three options. You can go to the side, pray to God that you can find some space in your suitcase to pack your alcohol in a way that it won't get broken, or you go have you a little pre-flight party, grab some random strangers and drink as much of it as you possibly can. I obviously don't recommend that option, but hey, I'm not judging you, because if it had happened to me, I certainly would not have wanted all that rum to go to waste. And then your third option, which TSA loves to watch us do, is throw it in the trash. And at that point, your whole entire trip is just one big dumpster fire. I mean, that would be the absolute worst, to come through customs and then have to discard your duty free alcohol. That is team struggle bus. So heed my warning, take my advice. Please, ladies and gentlemen, don't let that be you. I hope that you've enjoyed episode 2 of the Outdoorsy Diva podcast. Now that I've shared with you my secret weapon for packing more efficiently, and I've also given you some of my favorite things to look for in the perfect carry-on luggage. You're also well equipped for your duty-free shopping and duty-free packing. So I hope that these tips will help you become a more efficient traveler, and I look forward to seeing you on Team Carry-On. Happy adventuring! Thank you so much for listening. I hope that you enjoyed this episode. And if you did, make sure you subscribe to the Outdoorsy Diva podcast. Be sure to check out Misadventures of an Outdoorsy Diva blog on outdoorsydiva.com. You can also keep up with me and my adventures, so check out all of my social channels. Find Outdoorsy Diva on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Pinterest.